NFL just changed forever, and it's not because of a touchdown, a trade, or even a scandal. It's because of one rookie quarterback, Shedeur Sanders, and something called prime equity. You might have heard that the Cleveland Browns just signed Shedeur to a 4-year, $4.6 million rookie deal. On paper, that's a standard fifth-round contract. But look closer, and this isn't just a signing, it's a warning shot. Shedeur isn't just a quarterback, he's a brand, a media machine, a walking empire in cleats. For the first time ever, an NFL player is bringing influencer-level leverage into the league. Forget the rookie wage scale. Shedeur is coming in with millions of followers, a content empire, merch sales, NIL wealth, and a platform so powerful that ESPN covers him whether he starts or not. This isn't just about playing football. This is about owning your name, your likeness, your audience, and turning every touchdown, post-game interview, or viral clip into a revenue stream. Buried in his new deal is a concept the NFL has never had to reckon with: prime equity. It's not officially in the contract yet, but if Shedeur has his way, it might change how every player negotiates from now on. So how did a rookie quarterback flip the power dynamic in the most controlling league in America? Let's break it down. At first glance, it looked like a routine signing. The Cleveland Browns locked in their fifth-round pick, Shedeur Sanders, on a standard 4-year, $4.6 million rookie contract. Nothing unusual, right? But NFL insiders and media outlets started buzzing almost immediately because something about this deal felt different. It wasn't just the money. It was the momentum behind it, the energy, the branding. The fact that a fifth-round rookie was generating more media attention than most first-rounders? Then whispers started to surface. Talks of prime equity, a bold, game-changing idea that isn't written into NFL contracts yet, but was clearly shaping the conversation. Unlike most rookies just grateful for a spot, Shedeur walked in with leverage. He came with millions of followers, a fully built media brand, an NIL track record, and a content empire. From YouTube to Twitch to high-end merch collabs, this wasn't just a player. This was a media franchise in pads. And it wasn't just hype, it was strategy. Analysts started digging into the concept of prime equity, an athlete's total value off the field. Media presence, fan base, branding, content rights, and monetization potential, and how it could be factored into future contracts. What Shedeur did was set a precedent. One that made NFL executives sweat, because for the first time, a rookie wasn't just chasing a signing bonus. He was negotiating like an owner. At its core, prime equity isn't a legal clause, yet. It's a mindset, a strategy, and a negotiation weapon for the new generation of athletes. Coined as a nod to Deion Coach Prime Sanders, and now embodied by his son, Shedeur Sanders, prime equity flips the traditional playbook on its head. It asks one simple question: what if a player brings more value off the field than they do on it, and gets paid for both? It's about total value, not just touchdowns and QB ratings, but brand power, media reach, content creation, fan engagement, and cultural impact. From YouTube streams to merch sales, NIL deals to viral moments, prime equity quantifies it all. This is bigger than football. It's about ownership, influence, and independence. Players like Shedeur aren't just waiting on interviews, they're creating their own docuseries. They're monetizing their content directly. They're building followings that compete with ESPN's reach. And here's the kicker: this kind of leverage can reshape contracts. Bonuses based on views, not just stats. Revenue shares tied to merch. Rights to behind-the-scenes content. It's not just playing the game, it's owning the ecosystem around it. That's why prime equity changes everything. Because once players realize their influence is a business, they stop playing for the league and start playing with it. Before Shedeur Sanders ever threw a pass in the NFL, he already had something most rookies could only dream of: a built-in media empire. While most players are just starting their brand journey after college, Shedeur's was already a well-oiled content machine. His YouTube channel pulling in millions of views. Twitch streams regularly trending. IG lives viral within minutes. Every post, every story, every moment was part of a larger strategy. Control the narrative and own the attention. This wasn't some accident. This was by design. Backed by the legacy and marketing blueprint of Coach Prime, Shedeur turned his name into a media brand before he even hit the draft stage. He wasn't just an athlete with a phone. He was a creator, a storyteller, and a businessman who understood the power of direct-to-fan communication. That's why brands line up, not just for his talent, but for his audience. Shedeur isn't relying on the NFL to make him famous. He brought his own fame with him. Millions of followers, instant reach, and monetized platforms. The kind of infrastructure even some NFL teams struggle to build. And that's the real twist. Shedeur isn't just joining the league. He's bringing his own media platform with him. One that generates revenue, builds culture, and keeps his name circulating 24/7. That's what prime equity looks like in action. In the old days, the NFL was the big payday. College Bowl was just the waiting room. But for Shedeur Sanders, things flipped fast. While most athletes grind through college hoping to one day land an NFL contract, Shedeur was already stacking real money through NIL deals. He didn't just get a slice of the pie, he baked his own. From custom merch drops to brand collabs and direct fan monetization, Shedeur was pulling in high six, maybe even 7 figures while still rocking a college jersey. Then he hits the NFL draft and gets picked in the 5th round. Under a traditional system, that might have felt like a step down financially, but Shedeur flipped the script. He brought his NIL power to the negotiation table, pushing the NFL to think differently, not just about his performance on the field, but his value off it. He's not just a quarterback, he's an influencer, a brand, and a content studio rolled into one. And here's the kicker. Some players are now walking into the league with more money, more attention, and more leverage than veterans. The question isn't how much are they worth in the NFL? It's how much will the NFL pay to keep up? This is the new athlete economy. And Shedeur is proving that you don't need to wait for a league to validate your value. At first glance, it might sound like something out of a marketing textbook, but prime equity just made its way into the language of NFL contracts. Sort of. A mock contract began circulating online, showcasing what a deal could look like if the NFL started recognizing a player's full value. Not just yards, touchdowns, or tackles, but content, culture, and clout. And at the center of it all, Shedeur Sanders. The clause outlines a bold new structure. Performance bonuses not just for stats, but for social media viewership, content ownership, and merchandising revenue shares. For example, if Shedeur's YouTube, Twitch, or IG content racks up over 10 million views during a season, he'd earn a $2 million bonus. That's unheard of in traditional sports contracts. Even more revolutionary is the content ownership clause, allowing Shedeur to keep full rights to all behind-the-scenes footage he creates during the season. In other words, the NFL can't touch his docuseries, live streams, or brand collaborations. There's also a 20% cut of team merch featuring his name or image, and an equity match clause, letting him invest in future team-affiliated media ventures. That's not just player empowerment, that's player as partner. This mock contract isn't just a fantasy, it's a blueprint. It signals where things are heading, toward a future where players like Shedeur don't just sign deals, they negotiate like CEOs. The NFL has always been built on control. Teams control contracts, control narratives, and most importantly, control the money. But what happens when players start walking in with not just game tape, but followers, media rights, and brands more powerful than the teams themselves? That's exactly what prime equity threatens to dismantle. If Shedeur's model becomes the norm, the NFL's leverage begins to erode. Players won't be forced to chase starting spots just to secure a paycheck. If someone's making more in college from NIL deals, why would they take a pay cut just to make it in the league? That flips the entire incentive structure. And suddenly, the league needs the player more than the player needs the league. Front offices won't like it, because it means negotiating with players who understand their market value beyond the field. It means potentially giving up percentages of media revenue, merchandising profits, and branded content reach. And it means players calling shots, not just about the playbook, but about the brand strategy. What's more threatening than a talented quarterback? A talented quarterback with a loyal fan base, a monetized platform, and ownership ambitions. That's the ripple effect Shedeur is creating. He's not just competing for a starting job, he's redefining what being signed even means. And if more athletes follow his lead, the NFL's old way of doing business may not survive the next decade. Since the day Shedeur Sanders declared for the draft, the media frenzy hasn't let up. From talk shows to social feeds, everyone's had something to say. Not just about his play style, but about his brand, his influence, and the unusual weight he carries into every negotiation. But beneath the surface-level coverage, something deeper is stirring. Rumors have been flying about why the Browns really drafted Shedeur in the 5th round. Some insiders claim he was undervalued on purpose, not because of talent, but because his presence threatens the traditional system. Others suggest the Browns front office saw an opportunity, lock in a media powerhouse early and cheap, then let his cultural gravity boost the entire franchise's value. It's also been said that some execs around the league aren't thrilled. There's quiet talk about internal pressure to keep the prime equity model from spreading, because if one Shedeur turns into 10, the league's grip on player control could weaken fast. Even the timing of contract announcements and depth chart placements has sparked speculation. Is Shedeur being held back to protect veterans? Or is the team letting the media frenzy build until they're ready to cash in with a massive rollout? Nothing's been confirmed, but there's a clear undercurrent of tension. Shedeur isn't just a story, he's a disruptor. And when a player becomes bigger than the playbook, the system starts to shake. Shedeur Sanders didn't just enter the NFL. He entered with a blueprint, not just for playing the game, but for owning his presence within it. His story isn't about chasing fame or just throwing touchdowns. It's about shifting the balance of power. It's about turning every stat, every stream, every spotlight into something tangible, monetized, and most importantly, his. Through prime equity, Shedeur has reimagined what it means to be an athlete in the digital age. He's not waiting for media deals, he's creating them. He's not letting teams define his value. He's showing them he already has it. Every vlog, every merch drop, every viral clip is more than content. It's leverage, it's capital, it's ownership. And what we're seeing might just be the start of a movement. Younger players are watching, brands are taking notes, and the league, they're realizing that the old system, where teams held all the power and players were just pieces in a machine, doesn't work on someone who brings his own engine. Shedeur represents a new kind of player, part quarterback, part mogul, part cultural architect. He's not just trying to win games, he's building a legacy that extends far beyond the field. In a league slow to change, Shedeur isn't just adapting to the future, he is the future. And whether the NFL's ready or not, he's already rewriting the rules.